Hey guys, in this video I'm going to go through with you in real time the process of making your own butter from store-bought whipping cream. Come with me, let's get to it. So the process of making butter from whipping cream takes around 20 minutes. Now it doesn't matter if you stand there and shake it, kick it around a room in a sealed jar, or put it on the mixer and go about your business and do other things. Okay, it takes around 20 minutes because that's how long it takes for the butter solids, the dairy solids, to attach to each other and, you know, separate from the liquids. So we want to start our mixer off on maybe the second setting, not exactly the slowest, but not the middle either. We want to put it somewhere in the middle of those two, so about 2. Now yes, I could put it on faster if I wanted to, and I could have that sloshing all over my table, all over me, everywhere, for a huge mess for me to clean up. Quite frankly, I'm not in the mood for that. That's not going to happen. So I'm going to place it on, you know, not the slowest, but not the middle either. So now I'm going to turn this up a couple of notches on my settings to around about the middle so that it'll whisk up to become whipped cream. So part of the reason that we want to start off really slow is so that, one, the cream doesn't fly everywhere. Okay, that's one thing. Number 2, the cream does expand as it's whipping and it becomes bigger. So you want to make sure that there's enough room on the whisk and in the bowl for the amount of cream that you have. It may be that at some point in the next 5 minutes you kind of try to sit there and make the decision of whether you need to split this down into 2 separate lots, or if you're going to keep going with it and let it go as it is, as the full 2 litres of cream. The next 5 minutes I'm going to let you guys enjoy the ASMR of this whisk going around and the cream whipping, because, you know, it's a thing, and, you know, I'll come back and start doing a costing with you at around in about 5-ish minutes. Yeah, I know. I said 5 minutes and it's actually about 2. But, you know, I missed you. Point being that this is starting to whisk up and change viscosity. And you can see that. Now, this is part of the reason that I wanted to show this whole process in real time, because I want you guys to see how quickly things can change and to see how it changes at what stage of the process. So between the first and possibly 5th time that you do this, the chances are you're going to sit there and watch it moment by moment. You're not going to want to leave it to its own devices. So you're going to sit there and you're going to watch it. And I just want you guys to see what you're missing out on if you do walk away. However, the majority of us who have been doing this for a long time and are used to what it changes like and all of that kind of thing, will go off and do something else, like the dishes, or do a quick tidy up of the living room, or go and clean the bathroom or something, because we know that we've got about 20 minutes until this turns into butter. This is why it's very important to know your machine, know how much your bowl will hold, and know how these things go. So I'm just giving you a heads up so that you can see it before you actually go for it yourself. Now, as you can see, the whole of the gap of the air in the middle of the bowl is getting smaller around the whisk. That's because the cream is getting thicker around the whisk and it's starting to really thicken up. So I'm going to leave you guys for the next couple of minutes again to just watch and concentrate on the process, and I will be back in a couple of minutes. As you can see, it is properly thickening at this point, and we have what would be classified as soft peaks with our whipping cream, and it's just going to take a bit longer than this, obviously another 10 minutes or so until we have butter, but you know, we're still on that medium speed, and we're going to get there. So not only are you starting to see folds in the cream, but you're also noticing that in the middle of the whisk, there's no air pocket. It's gone. That cream has completely whisked up to a point where there is no air pocket anymore. Since we're almost halfway through, I thought I'd go through the costings with you. Now, there is a major outcry here in the UK at the moment that a company called Arla, which is a major dairy supplier to all the major supermarkets, or many of the major supermarkets and other dairy suppliers, have started using a feed supplement called Bovaer, which is supposed to stop cows from farting, basically, because yeah, cow farts are the problem. So there's a lot of issue with that, and what I've done is I've used the costings of companies that are not connected to Bovaer in my costings, However, just give me a second. So this here is a opportunity to see that things can change very rapidly when it comes to whipping cream and making butter. So we've gone from soft peaks just less than a minute ago to what we would call stiff peaks, and this is where you would want chantilly cream to be if you'd added the extra ingredients like the icing sugar and the vanilla. This is where you'd want chantilly cream to be. You'd want it to be at the stiff peaks point. So Lakeland's Dairy's pure Irish butter per 250 gram pack is £2.65. Now I got 1 kilo of butter out of this and 1 litre of buttermilk. So to get that much butter and buy it would cost me £10.76. Now Longley Farm buttermilk is for 500 mils is £1.50, so for the full litre you're looking at £3. That means altogether, if I was to buy the products that I made here, would cost me £13.76. Now we have been purchasing cream from Tanny's Work, which is a catering 2 litre pack of cream, which you can get from other suppliers, which other dairies, smaller dairies and other companies that aren't associated with Arla, for around about £8 for 2 litres. Now we get ours for £6.90, so that gave me a saving here of £6.86, which means for 4p more I could get another bottle of cream and make double the product for the amount that it would cost me to buy what I've made here today. And I'm sorry, but I ain't arguing with that. Now we're back to our cream, and we are getting to the stage where we would call this over whipped. It's on the verge of splitting. And we want to just up the speed just to get it through that last little bit. What you may also have noticed is that the cream has shrunk again at this point, and that's because all the fats have accumulated together and we don't have as much air in the cream. So what's actually holding it together at this point is a little bit of the air that we've put into it, but it's mostly the whipped dairy fats. Now I can hear some of you say, but Blue, that was still quite a lot of money for what you've made. And yes, if you're on a very strict budget and you have to be very careful, it can be, but I would put to you that I would prefer to pay a bit more, use a bit less, but know that the quality of what I'm buying, making and serving to myself and my family is a lot safer than what I'm buying off the supermarket shelves for less than £1. And you put it this way, go and see your local butchers, ask them if they've got any beef fat or pig fat, pork fat, and make your own lard and dripping for frying so you don't have to use the butter. Save the butter for things like your sandwiches, or maybe even not use as much butter on your sandwiches anymore. You know, save it for things like toast and for baking. You know, there are ways to save and be a bit healthier, but still use these really good ingredients as a premium item, especially when you're on a budget. I mean, that's the most important time to do it, surely, is so that you can have the nice things and, you know, just make them last a bit further. The whole point of my channel, the whole point of what I do, is to show you how you can have the champagne lifestyle but on the rainwater budget. Just because you don't have a lot of money, just because you're doing it hard, just because things are tough right now does not mean that you can't have nice things. And the amount of people that turn around and say, you know, oh, you should be buying less Starbucks, or you should be doing this, or you should be doing that. You know, they've never had to want for anything in their lives. They have no idea what you go through on a daily basis, or any of us go through. You know, you deserve to have the nice things as well. Being poor and living in poverty does not mean that you can't have nice things, which is why we're gonna make our own butter, okay? Because at this time of year, like no other, the pressure is on harder than at any other point in the year. And we want to make Christmas special, and we want to have the nice things, and we want to be using the good ingredients. Well, sometimes the best way to get those good ingredients, as I've been showing you in the last week, is to make them yourself and save that money for other things that don't need to be expensive. Okay, so as you can see here, our whipped cream has now turned into what looks a little bit like scrambled eggs, or soft scrambled eggs. And that means that it's starting to split, and slightly in the background you'll be able to hear a little bit of a wet noise, and that is the liquid leaching out of the whipped cream as it splits into fats and liquids. Personally, I think this whole process is absolutely fascinating. You know, it's a little bit of magic right there in your mixer, where you've gone from one ingredient to two ingredients that are incredible. And it's just amazing to watch the whole process. I mean, I think so. You guys are probably bored random by now, but you know, we're almost there. We're almost at the end. So I'm doing something to the side of this as this is going, and it's shone a light on what we are doing here, which is bringing out the yellow colour even more of the butter and showing us that actually, yes, this is definitely butter at this stage. Now, there are certain supermarkets that are selling Santa shapes and snowman shaped butter. Yeah, for £2 a pop. Okay, or anywhere between £1.75 and £2 a pop. Now, if you've got chocolate moulds because you're making edible gifts, etc. this year, why not use them? And even if you've got a star-shaped cookie cutter, if you roll your butter out and use that, you've got star-shaped butter without any hassle whatsoever. I mean, if you've got any kind of Christmas cookie cutter, you could cut it in that shape so that it's obvious. You could have your reindeer heads, you could have your candy canes, you could have anything like that, and it's not cost you any extra. It'll cost you a couple of minutes. I mean, like, I'm making little gingerbread ones in a bit, so you know, but you want to make sure that your butter is properly separated before you do that. So the other good thing about making your own butter, especially if it's in shapes and what have you, is that every shape can represent a different flavour. Now you might want to have some maple or golden syrup butter to go on pancakes for Christmas morning, you know, and have that in some kind of shape. You might want to have some rosemary and thyme flavoured butter to go with Christmas dinner. There's all kinds of options. Maybe some orange or even brandy butter for the Christmas pudding. I mean, like, seriously, you can make it with what you've got here, and it's going to save you a fortune. Where they're selling flavoured butters, they're anything from £3.25 for 150 grams to £6 for orange butter, or a trio of flavoured butters which is 3 100-gram packs, £16.95. And you've got it here for the price of a box of cream. You know, like, seriously guys, you got this, and you can do it all yourself, and it's going to cost you a fraction of what the supermarkets and other places are going to try and charge you. See, the other really good thing about this is that you make it to your taste. How many times have we bought things thinking, oh yeah, that sounds really good from the supermarket, and it tastes like cuck, and it's really disappointing. It's either over flavoured, under seasoned, too salty, not salty enough, too much of this flavour, not enough of that flavour. You know, Tanny and I have probably tried 6 different packets of Pigs in Blanket crisps this year, and either they taste too much like bacon, not enough sausage, or they're overly salty to the point where they're just inedible. So we've got it to the end. As you can see, there is a definite distinction between the fats, the milk fats, and the liquids. So we're going to slow this down, and then we're going to pour it through a muslin just to get the liquids out. Now, one of the things you would be doing if you were paying attention to this as it was going is you would have wiped down that top rim. Okay, the reason being that's still whipped cream, it's not butter. It's still whipped cream, it's not butter. So I'm not going to mix it into the rest of what we have here. But even just pulling that whisk out of the bowl, you can see that beautiful butter just hanging there in the whisk, and it's just out of this world. But Blue, you haven't added any salt. No, I haven't. Because I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure I've never tasted really salty buttermilk. So it's something that you do after you have separated the solids from the liquids. As you can see here, I have set up a bowl with a colander and a cheesecloth in it, and we're just going to very carefully pour our contents of our bowl into that now. But no, I'm not scraping off what's left on the rim. That's, like I said, that's just whipped cream, really. I mean, seriously, just look at that stunning butter. It's just beautiful. And that gorgeous buttermilk that's just pouring off it. It's just incredible. Now, there's several uses for buttermilk. The one that we're going to be using this lot for, not today. You're going to have to hold your horses for a couple of days, but not today. We're going to be using ours for marinating our chicken for the kids' chicken strips and chicken nuggets for Christmas. Now, a wonderful friend of mine over on the Facebook group, Not Your Grandma's Recipes, she has given me a recipe for her grandmother's buttermilk pie, and that's going to be something else that we make in the next week, because you know what? I think I've fallen in love with it just looking at it. It's amazing. Now, while you're doing this, what you want to do is slowly and carefully squeeze the butter in your hands in the cloth until all the liquid comes out and there's no more liquid to come out. Once it stops coming out, it stopped coming out. Now, at this point, if that's what you wanted to do, you could add salt, a little bit of salt, and you would mix it through your butter. You'd knead it through. It's not something I'm going to do, but you know, it is what it is. As you can see, I've just a little bit under maybe 1 kilo of butter. And we're going to measure our buttermilk, and that's just on 1 kilo as well, so that's a litre. Now we're going to keep our buttermilk in sterilised jars in the fridge. Now this will keep for a week or two quite happily in the fridge. It's not going to last that long here, I'm telling you now. It will not last that long here, but just pop it in the fridge, make sure it's kept nice and chilled, and it'll be lovely. Blue, what exactly can we do with buttermilk? What do we do with it? Okay, well, there's 1,000,001 things you can do. I've just done a Google search and there's literally 150 million different ways of using it. I mean, like, seriously, guys, it's going to take you 2 seconds. And I thought it'd be a little bit of fun to have some little gingerbread man shaped pieces of butter for Christmas, because, you know, it's Christmas. Yeah, and as we've already seen, it's going to cost a really big amount of money just to buy some fancy shaped butter that we can do ourselves. Now, I've got my chocolate molds out, my little gingerbread guys, and I'm just filling those really, really carefully. You want to make sure that they are as full can be, and give them a good squish down to make sure that the air is out from the base. And yes, I have written on the back of my hand why, because I forgot something when I was writing my to-do list, and I was reminded by a friend of mine who said, so are you doing your mince pies this year? And I went, oh crud, I forgot about them. So it's on the back, it's still on the back of my hand, can I just say, because I can't get rid of it because I keep forgetting to write it down on my actual to-do list. So it's staying there. So if you see it for the next few videos, get used to it, but so I don't forget to make my mince pies. Meanwhile, I'm going to make gingerbread man butter, and this would be a really good time that if you wanted to do this, you could grab a section of the butter that you've made, maybe 100 grams or whatever, and add maybe a couple of tablespoons of maple syrup or golden syrup. If you wanted to for pancakes or waffles, you could add a little bit of lemon zest or orange zest to that, maybe even a little bit of mixed spice, or what you guys call in America pumpkin spice, so that, you know, you've got this really yummy, Christmassy smelling, tasting, citrusy, sweet, beautiful butter that is just going to melt all over your waffles on Christmas morning, and it's just going to start your day in the way that it should. And if anyone says to you, you can't have nice things, you know what you do? You tell them to step off, stay in their lane, and watch you while you do it and make it happen. And they can sit there and eat crow. Now, before anyone says anything, yes, my hands are actually clean. Yes, I did write on them, but that's as far as it went, and I have very clean fingers. The reason that I know that I have very, very clean hands is because I'm both autistic and ADHD, and I can't stand to have things on my hands making them sticky or fatty or greasy or icky for any amount of time longer than about 20 seconds to finish what I'm doing, and then I have to get up and I have to wash them, and that occurs several times during a video, especially when I'm doing something like this, or making sausage rolls, or doing other things. You'll find there's a lot of breakages in the editing, because that's when I'm getting up to wash my hands over and over and over again. So once you've rammed your butter into your little molds, you want to make sure that every little nook and cranny is filled with that butter. You want to scrape off the excess with the back of a flat surface, like the back of a knife or the back of a spoon handle or anything like that, that's going to scrape the base, the bottom of that off, as I'm doing here with the back of this butter knife. Of course, I'm using a butter knife to make butter. I might not have a lot of money, but it doesn't mean I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, come on. I'm only making the gingerbread man butter this year. I'm not doing the candy canes in the middle. I feel like the candy canes would be too thin, and the probability of them snapping is quite high, so I don't really want to go there. I'd rather have these, which are a little bit bigger, less likely to crack when you pop them out, but also really cute, really attractive, perfect for Christmas. The kids will love them. The adults get a little bit of whimsy. You know what? And I just think, yeah. But like, if you are going to do different flavored butters, I would use different shapes. Now, if I was going to do, say, for example, like a peppermint butter to go on waffles or pancakes for the kids for Christmas breakfast, I would then probably do the candy canes to give them that little bit of knowledge or a clue that that's what's in the actual flavour of the butter. But that's just me, because I'm a little bit extra that way. So yeah, 5 minutes out of our day and we've managed to make 8 little gingerbread men butters, because they're cute and awesome and they would cost us a fortune to buy them. Whereas here, it's meant that we've got extra room in the with the other butter to, yeah, don't pop them out. Don't pop them out now. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's not ready. They need to go in the fridge overnight for, you know, to harden up, okay? Because we've been putting and poking that butter for a while now and it's starting to melt down a bit. Now get yourself a container that will hold the rest of your butter. Now whether you're going to use this to make different flavoured butters or whatever, doesn't matter. Just get a container that's going to fit the rest of the butter in it. Same as with the moulds, you want to make sure that all of that butter reaches all of the corners and you don't have any air pockets in the actual container, because you won't be able to push the butter back down to fill those up, because it does remain quite solid. But you know, you want to fill it up as much as you possibly can as well. Now this particular container was a smidge small, but you know, it doesn't matter. It still went in the fridge. It was fine. And once I've done whatever else I'm going to do with this butter, the lid will fit on properly eventually anyway, so I'm not that worried about it. So this particular butter batch does not have salt in it. I chose not to do that. I didn't really want to do that. I'm not a huge fan of salt in butter. However, when I do buy butter, I buy the salted variety, even for desserts, because I find it very annoying and very distracting when recipes say use unsalted butter but then tell you to put a teaspoon of salt into a recipe. To me, all you have to do is put the salted butter in there, like normal butter that you buy off the shelf, and you don't need to put in the extra salt. And that's only one ingredient then instead of 2, because, you know, it's a bit naff. It's going a bit far at that point, guys. Seriously. Here we go, guys. We have, in less than, well, around about half an hour of our life, first thing in the morning, as we were doing the dishes, I've made butter and buttermilk. We've saved ourselves a huge amount of money. And we have the cutest little guys in the world to serve on Christmas Day with our beautiful hot bread buns. And I will see you again tomorrow. Have a really awesome rest of your day, guys. If you've enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel for more shenanigans. And share me with your friends, because, you know, there's enough of me to go around. Come on, don't be greedy. See you tomorrow. Bye.